So what did we talk about last night? Where the vibes are just off. And they've been off for quite some time. But just think about how Ethereum's now rolling out an institutional hub. I'm going to let you relive your childhood a little bit if you're a fan of Yu-Gi-Oh! We have the Bank of Canada that is now saying the standard of living will fall. And there was $400 million liquidated in the cryptocurrency markets over the past little bit. This is the craziest stuff ever. And we're going to be bringing it to you every single day. So take a look at this. Does this give you a hit of anything? The Exodia, I'm trying to think of like what the mass creature, Exodia. We have the Blue Eyes White Dragon. This is something within the Toontown. If you remember that episode. There was, I don't know if this was like the Hex, the Witches. It makes me think of like Scooby-Doo. Have you ever seen the episode of Scooby-Doo when they have like the Hex Witches or whatever? An obelisk. I think this is called Obelisk. And this was also in that Toontown one before they went around. Anyway, wow. Listen. We might got to start collecting Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Rich people are carrying the market. So this is a LinkedIn post from the president of the Upper Deck Company, which deals with trading cards. Everything speculative is up right now. The stock market, Bitcoin, trading cards, and it's pricing collectors out. Here's what the data shows. 50% of consumer spending in the US is coming from 10% of the population. 50% of spending is coming from 10%. Rich people are carrying the market, not just in cards, but across every category. Concert tickets, $1,000 for nosebleeds. Luxury goods, selling faster than ever. High-end collectibles, moving at record prices. When boxes cost $1,000 or more, you're not buying for fun anymore. You're speculating. You're betting that what you buy today will be worth significantly more tomorrow, and that works until it doesn't. Sports cards have always had speculation built in. You collect a rookie hoping they become a Hall of Famer. But what's happening now is different in scale. And when markets become this speculative, they become fragile. I'm not saying the sky is falling. I'm saying we need to be honest about what's happening. This isn't sustainable growth driven by collectors who love the hobby. This is wealth concentration driving prices that most people can't participate in. And if money suddenly moves elsewhere to bet on something else, we all will feel. Ay. Okay, so we have warning shots, if you will. While the face of crypto arguably over in the Pudgy Penguin land, their gifts have had 250 billion plus views. What an absolute feat to reach. And Azuki TCG, the trading card game coming out of Azuki, another crypto-based brand. People are buying boxes of these. I haven't really seen them listed anywhere, so I don't know if these are insanely hard to get or if people are, trying to flip them, if it's mainly collectors. I don't really know what to say regarding them, but this is what some of these styles look like for it. And I think they look easy to accept payments in 4 stablecoins on 4 separate blockchains that can settle into fiat currency. Getting a lot of big headlines yet again. Oh, sweet. They listed a Solana ETF this morning. Let's check how the price is doing. Boom! Just in, 495 million worth of crypto long positions liquidated in the past 24 hours. Unfortunately, not sure if the ETFs are going to assist on that. Over in the VFriends land, another crypto-based brand that started. A Steph Curry, Gary Vaynerchuk signed 1 of 1, got pulled on one of the card rippers, which is great. I don't know if this is on Whatnot. I'm just going to assume that it is, but we highlighted last night. They got some crazy valuation. And what does the collectibles market as a whole look like? And, on top of that, I was watching a video this morning from a guy that is in the States doing cars. Let me see if I can actually find this. Give me a second. Yo, Shay, what's up? How are we? Hopefully I can bring it over in the other window.
A major shift is occurring in the graded card market for not only
All right. Yeah. Okay. This is wild because it shows like what can happen behind the scenes. of some of the things that you think, hey, there's a lot of demand for it. And you're right, but how much of that demand is from like certain shenanigans?
A major shift is occurring in the graded card market for not only Pokemon, but sports and other collectibles. Let's talk about it. I was vending this past weekend in Collecticon Houston, and a murmur came across the room that I picked up on, and that was that GameStop was walking around and buying slabs at 90+%. A couple of buddies of mine said they sold at 93.
So just to clarify, for anybody that doesn't know, when they're referencing slabs, they're referencing like graded cards. So if you go to a show and you're like, hey, you know what? I want to pick up like a cool Digimon card and I want to get it or have it like graded, like this one's an 8, right? You'll have people, instead of having to wait the 3 months to send a card that you happen to pull from a pack or buy it from somebody and get it graded, or just buy from somebody graded, you're able to go to these card shows and basically it's just quick business.
94% for their graded cards, their slabs, to GameStop. Not only that, but Arena Club was there, and they've sent their representation out.
And what they're, sorry, I'm going to go back like a few seconds here too, because what they're also saying is when they're saying like they're buying at 90%, like each card kind of has like a value. So like, let's say that this is like $100. And so typically at these card shows, you and I would go back and forth and say, okay, well, these are the last prices that people bought them at, and decide. And usually you have like massive ebbs and flows. Sometimes there'll be people that just give out like cards for free for kids or give like a huge discount. But if somebody's going through and buying the prices at like 90% of what they're worth, usually it's, you know, between 70 to, you know, the 90 or full price. But there's negotiation with it. Buying it for 90 like just solidifies, okay, there's a floor and these things are selling.
And that was that GameStop was walking around and buying slabs at 90+%. A couple of buddies of mine said they sold at 93, 94% for their graded cards, their slabs, to GameStop. Not only that, but Arena Club was there, and they've sent their representation out, and they're buying at major shows. As a matter of fact, I did a big deal with a representative from Arena Club, which, for those of you who don't know, is a big entity. I don't know if they're owned by PSA or eBay. I want to say they are. I'm not going to say they are for sure, but they were walking around doing the same thing. So what I'm starting to pick up on is that not only are we seeing a lot of corporate interest between GameStop, PSA, eBay, that conglomerate, right, Arena Club, going through and buying a large market share from vendors like me and paying better and stronger than some of these other repackers and mystery bag streamers who I've sell a ton to and have been selling a ton to this past year. There's a shift occurring here. Not only is PSA and GameStop buying a ton of slabs right now, but we're also seeing PSA come out with a new standard submission, which is their base submission of, instead of 45-day turnarounds, we're now seeing 65 business day turnarounds, which is really 4 months for a standard submission for you to return to you. So we're seeing slowed turnaround times for your standard submissions. We're seeing an increase in every tier, including the express tiers for when you want to get your cards back as quickly as possible. And we're seeing a change from Whatnot starting on November 4th, where they're cracking down on standards for repackers and mystery bag streamers. And then, of course, the rise of Arena Club, all of this happening at the same time. So what I'm saying is, what I think is happening is, corporate interest is now entering the graded card space, because I believe a lot of corporate interest and higher up people are seeing the interest in Pokemon and the money that's entering it. Not just that, but in sports card collectibles as well. And now the interests are shifting from like crypto to sports and Pokemon cards, but the graded cards as an authenticated way to hold value over time. And that's what people are spending their money on. So now the corporate money has arrived. I don't know. I don't know what this means. I think it's interesting. I think a lot of like your smaller to mid-size mystery bags and repackers are going to struggle to source at the same rate that they have now, because now they're cutting off the source. They're making it harder and longer to grade and harder to buy as they're buying up the market share. What do you guys think?
So super, super spicy take, but at the same time, you got to think, all right, well, if PSA is having to do or remember, like PSA, like when you take a card and you submit it, you pay based off of like the value of that card. And I've seen where people have said, hey, I got graded this card and somehow they want like X more money. And it's a pretty it's a pretty outstanding system when you look at also the amount of crypto individuals for these tokenized assets that have come through and like swept the floor for all of these graded Pokemon cards. Now you have PSA slowing things down. Well, you have GameStop, who's a part of, that crypto conglomerate that's really getting into what's happening within the collecting space. And so there was another post that I wanted to, video that I wanted to highlight for you because I think that it's pretty significant as well. Apologies for the little bit of mess up on the flow here. Going to try to see. I'm going to hope that is... There we go.
Labubu, cards, Pokemon, all that. I think collecting is now starting to get close to music, sports, fashion as a pillar of our society.
15 to 30-year-old dudes that were cool did not collect cards in the 90s. And now a lot of them do, and that's a big deal.
I believe in 15 to 20 years, it is a cultural genre that you will go out to dinner or you meet somebody at a business meeting and you go out for drinks afterwards. And I believe people are going to ask people, hey, what are you collecting?
What are you collecting? That is the question. And I agree that the whole everything around collecting is continuing to pick up. NBA Top Shot, they got rookie debut moments coming down, and some of them are going to have the signatures as part of it. There's a gold Bored Ape that went for $350,000. What do you collect? $350,000 JPEGs. Love it. Now today as well, if you're in the US, listen up, listen up, listen up. This might be where the speculation conversation comes back into play. Because I don't fully understand how this is going to work. But Yuga Labs, the creators of Other Side and Bored Apes and some of the biggest stuff within crypto, is partnered with Amazon. Yes, Amazon directly, where they are selling this Boximus Voyager. And so it's a character that is within this game. I don't know if it's going to come with a physical of any sort. I don't know what, sort of the utility is. I don't know if this is simply something for aesthetics, right? But 2,222 max supply at $65.99. So let's, do a little bit of math with the calculator. So theoretically, about 146,000 US will be made from this. Now, what's kind of I'm not sure about is I feel like they've talked about how there's different editions. You missed out on it. It was gone in seconds. Wait, I thought it was 12 p.m. PT. Would that not be an hour from now? Did it just happen? Sugar. What I was going to say, now that we know that it's out, it happened 12 minutes ago. All right, cool. I don't know time. Phenomenal. Was this so are we pivoting where I had the thought? So a couple months ago, for anybody that's a hardcore watcher of the stream, thank you, by the way. But my thoughts were, I think that all these brands are going to go for the mass appeal, where I don't know if we're going to see the, 1,000, 2,000 limited edition, whatever. I think okay, well, if you're going to get it out there, brands are going to want to just do mass scales for whatever. But this one makes me think that maybe I'm wrong, or they're going to slowly work up to where it is, not having any sort of limited edition aspect to it. But damn, it already sold out. All right, so we'll have to keep an eye updated on it. But this was the info. Theoretically, if you could, Mint, be logged into Amazon US as it was US only. Go to the URL we share. You can buy it at 10 a.m. Pacific time with standard options. You receive a redemption code via email, so it is like a digital good. Then then log into Other Side, redeem it when it's live, and then it'll mint to a Glyph wallet. I have no idea what a Glyph wallet is. Have you guys ever heard of a Glyph wallet? I don't know what that is. Bosch, any idea? Any idea? New Norwegian tax authority, reports a 30% jump in crypto reporting from 73,000 people, which was previously 55. So, what? They're up 20-ish thousand, declaring $4 billion in crypto. Wow. That is nuts. That is actually kind of crazy. That's not an insane amount, but 20,000 Norwegians jumping into space. Okay. We got another big CEO. Every day we open the timeline when you see some big CEO saying everything's getting tokenized, pay attention, digital this, digital that.
So for 175 years, we've been connecting people with technology, and we've been using that technology to move money. This is the next evolution, moving to digital assets and the ability to move money seamlessly, cost-effectively, and rapidly everywhere around the world, using the infrastructure and the scale we already have with modern blockchain technology. We think this is the next evolution, not just in our history, but in how remittances happen around the world. If you're Western Union and you're already moving $100 billion a year across borders, picking a partner that does exactly that, fast, efficient, stable, and secure, is really, really important. And so we went and looked at most of the other alternatives and came to the conclusion for an institutional use case like ours, the Solana blockchain was the right choice for us. So for
So there was all this outrage with the announcement that Western Union was launching on Solana. People were making these comments saying, you got paid to do it. And then there was some backlash of people saying, well, no, that's not the case, but something did end up happening. So I don't have that post saved, but I'm going to try to see if I can find it on the fly because I remember what happened. Oh, here we go. All right. So this is from Archik. I deleted this tweet because someone from the Solana Foundation reached out and said it was not true. But the original post that was deleted saying, turns out Western Union was paid $25 million by the Solana Foundation to use their chain instead of Ethereum for 6 months. Keep in mind, Western Union is a dying company. Okay, holy smokes. It seems the deal was made 25. In fairness, deleted the tweet, but okay, so that's weird so Western Union is on Solana, but the 25 million number is not accurate. But I don't, what part of this is true? So they're using it for 6 months, and it wasn't 25 million, but then it's going to be, on Ethereum and other chains afterwards? I don't know what to think of it. ETF flows, both Bitcoin and ETH spot ETF saw net inflows on October 28th, yesterday. 202 million for Bitcoin, 246 million for Ethereum. So Ethereum outmatching Bitcoin. Yo, Core, how are we? Yo, lovely name, by the way. That's a handle. I don't know if you guys have seen over on X2, they now have a new account you can tweet at and be like, yo, do you want to buy this handle? But the catch with it is you have to have a business account, which I think is quite expensive to have that ability. From what I've read. Stablecoin supply changes, Zapdos just getting it all. Plasma, Solana, Ethereum, Arbitrum. I don't know what's going on. 500 million out of the Arbitrum ecosystem. Holy moly. Holy moly. Over on Abstract. Did you notice they now have dark mode? Lovely. It feels like things have gotten a little bit quiet around Abstract. So on that note, did you see the latest from Luca? This one, we've heard some parabolic talk at times, but this one is a whole nother level of vibe around it. Stablecoin movement just means some liquidity. Farm change locations. Imagine being Arbitrum and you're like, well, the farm's gone. God damn. All right, Luca Net's here on something that is coming to Abstract.
We've been working on something for the last couple of months here. Abstract blockchains ebb and flow. Some weeks it's good, some weeks it isn't. But we have something on the Abstract side that when we call it Project Quantum internally, and when Project Quantum sees the light of day, because I know we've been working really hard on this Project Quantum. I think when people see it, it's gonna be one of the greatest moments from any blockchain ever. From just I don't even know what to call it. We just call it Project Quantum, and I think people are going to see it and be like, damn, that's what you guys have been working on this whole time. It's pretty freaking insane. So
you say the greatest moment in blockchain history? Yo, holy, what that's actually insane of a call. Now, well, with that, let's pair it up with another person, okay? Where we do have people that are bull posting at the same time. And that's why I think some of the commentary on everything, it's like, okay, we understand things are going to be like wildly volatile, but it is like there is not like a rainbow or sunshine anywhere on the socials within the crypto Twitter sphere, except for a couple. That one was one, and then Robbie Ferguson from Immutable. Do not be surprised when the laws get signed and the biggest companies in the world join crypto like they told us they would. So a lot's relying on some of the acts and bills that are being passed within the states right now. Well, think about how OpenSea and MetaMask are. OpenSea and MetaMask actually the insiders here? Because they pushed back. I thought OpenSea was launching their token in 2025. I thought MetaMask was looking at that too. And now it seems like it's all being pushed to 2026. Did they know that the market was going to be in a turbulent state and said, we're going to wait until things are a little bit more cheeky? They're the ultimate insiders. Cask Capital. Every cask on Cask Capital is minted as a digital asset on Hedera. Fast, sustainable, and traceable, built for collectors who value transparency as much as tradition. So I was able to interview the Cask Capital founder probably way over a year ago on the RWA SegMints Podcast, which is available in the link in the description below or in my bio on X. But we're noticing everyone tokenizing every sort of asset. And the token letter from Ribbit Capital highlighting that there's just going to be more tokens, and more tokens. Who gets what token? Who does it the best? Is it brand-based? Is it the provenance, the authentication, the process best-based? There is so many things that are happening. It's to a point where I think it's almost like a disservice to the space. Because have you ever tried to like encourage somebody being like, this crypto landscape, the tokenization of things, it's really interesting. And you've probably been educated enough where you could go on like pretty significant rants. You could break down a lot of different things for them. But whenever they're on their own, all of a sudden, it's kind of, you put them in the ocean and the boat you gave them is a canoe and they don't even have an engine. They have a paddle. And you're like, all right, go figure out what's interesting. Try to survive through whatever it is. And where do they even begin? Where do you even begin? Now, for myself, I think it was NBA Top Shot and a friend that introduced me to what was going on. But it's so complex. It is so complex for anyone that's new. So how do you change it? Do you say, all right, well, crypto is just like simply like a stock market and we're going to go off of that and it's all just these different tickers? How do you make it where it makes sense? So you have to start with a wallet. And MetaMask has gotten a ton of FUD over their new reward system, but we have one post of clarity on it. How this is not being like massively pushed, I don't know. But coming from one of the team members' accounts, not even the official one, says MetaMask rewards and the MetaMask token are two separate things. MetaMask rewards was built to consistently reward use of MetaMask ecosystem, and the MetaMask token has been announced but not released. The MetaMask token will be so much bigger than the MetaMask rewards. Okay, so hopefully that puts you at rest regarding some of the happenings around it. Doodles announced a spooky Telegram drop with Universal Monsters. You can get it right now. It was glitched and has updated. Y'all, listen, false send it. False send it. I can't because I'm not in the States. But let me ask a question regarding these. Whoa. Okay, excuse me. Sorry, I didn't realize it was going to be audio. That kind of actually gave me a jump scare. Are these stickers going to be... trying to think of like the right way to phrase it. But is this going to be like the Topps moment? You know what I mean? How there's like Topps cards, there's Panini, there's a bunch of different ones. Do we look at like Ton stickers as a brand as a whole? Because think of how many different like IPs, collaborations, and everything they've done. And is it just like a perspective change of, all right, well, somebody's going to have a crazy amount of these Telegram stickers, like people that collected Disney pins very early. And the collections of all of them are going to have some sort of value because it seems like it's only specific IPs that are doing stickers. This is where I need to do a little bit more of my own research to find out what that ecosystem looks like. But when you change your perspective on something, well, maybe just Telegram stickers as a whole is something to collect, where most people are simply speculating on it. Meanwhile, ad agencies spend millions on brand stories and clever taglines. Clarity wins. I love this. You don't need no fancy logo. You don't need any cool name. You just say sandwiches with an arrow. And you know that you're going to walk in and get a sandwich. Breaking X Handle Marketplace is now live where you can buy inactive X handles. It also comes with Grok integrated to suggest the best ones for you to pick. Name handles. Does this have any impact on blockchain names like Ethereum name service? Maybe, maybe not. Breaking 406 million in longs have been liquidated in the past 24. So I put that twice because we talked about it a little bit earlier, and we're going to bring it up again for anybody that's joining late. But the amount of leverage just whooshing across the space is insane. And then Ethereum here with their institutions, the institutional liquidity layer. Ethereum is the backbone of the on-chain economy. So 10.2 years of uninterrupted time, 1 million validators securing the network, 177 billion stablecoin total value locked, which is 60% plus of global supply. Wow. 76% RWA market share for the Ethereum ecosystem. 84 billion locked, which is 65% plus of all blockchain. Wow. And 2.89 billion on the 12-month average for the 24-hour DEX. That, wow, holy. I love when this is something that I complained about before, and thank God they did it. Because when you went to the Ethereum site, it was like, if you're a new person, how do you start? Okay, wham. You got some numbers right off the bat. Great. Now you have a breakdown of what's going on. And then you have some other stuff. You got some logos and whatnot that people are knowing. You got the quote. I don't know. I'm vibing with it. I like it a lot better than just the other one. Now, this is obviously for institutions, but still. Take a listen to this one. Holy mother of pearl. People are like shouting doomsday out here.
What's most concerning is that unless we change some other things, our standard of living as a country, Canadians, is going to be lower than it otherwise would have been.
Yeah. How are you supposed to react to such an official saying that? We legit only talk about the same 4 to 5 different NFTs, InfoFi platforms or chain, anything under the radar you're generally interested in. Well, good question. Well, we cover a bajillion different things, but of course, when you look on the timeline, there is conversations about only 2 to 3 things. And for the Boximus, I still don't understand. We're going through Amazon, we're trying to get the extra attention for it, and then the first drop is going to be like ultra mega exclusive. Like, that's great for the people to get it, but it just doesn't make sense. Like, it feels like a historical moment. You know, when you have like POAPs or like when Ryan Carson used to do the weekly show and it was like, show up and we'll give you a POAP. How the hell does this like continue to happen? Because the one that I did like was when they did the other side trip and it was like the competition between 4 different teams. And that was like an exclusive feeling that was really, really good. But this, when we say like cultural moment, all right, well, maybe this is going to be great and they want something to initially have as a NFT in demand, right? Where over within like the Futureverse ecosystem on Root Network, when those marketplaces were up, there was nothing that was really heavily traded. There was nothing that was like very much desired to help bring any sort of attention or have people check it. It was just like, all right, well, maybe I need this asset for a certain game or whatever, but there wasn't an inherent reason to go and check out that marketplace. But if people are going to look at like the crazy prices, or there is a certain thing depending, because this is going on the Glyph blockchain or the Glyph wallet, which I'm not familiar with, but we're going to have to do some research on that. I don't know. I feel like this is the thing, if it's as big as it is, maybe keep it like limited, but not like 2,222 limited. You have to have some OG items. It's like the Black Knight and Fortnite. Fair enough. Maybe it's just like a personal opinion, but you know, I want to join in the fun. Are we back to like trying to have speculation, or are we back trying to have like the mass adoption? So Watch for that on the timeline. Somebody's going to be bringing it up. The biggest players in the world are piling into crypto and fast. MasterCard to acquire crypto startup Zero Hash for close to $2 billion. Ay, ay, ay. Justin, OpenAI prepares for IPO at $1 trillion valuation. Immediately followed up with Consensus, the creator of MetaMask, to IPO. So if OpenAI is worth $1 trillion valuation, what's Consensus and MetaMask? Big shout out to Vibes TCG as well. They got nominated for the best non-sports card product. And on this past week's episode of RWA SegMints, I got to talk to Jeremy about joining the Orange Cap Games team. We go over a little bit regarding the Moonbirds acquisition, but generally speaking, it's a lot of conversation around Vibes TCG. Here's a quick clip from it. Everyone within the space, you're expanding, going to a whole bunch of different TCG events from Hartford, and I don't know if it was San Diego or wherever else, but it feels like you guys are on almost every single poster of major trading card events. How has the progress been for you? Because I know that you didn't join necessarily right on an inception, but it feels like Vibes TCG as a whole has just been rocketing in success and adoption.
Yeah, in terms of speed of, activations, promos, and events, Vibes is definitely killing it. Everybody is excited for the cards, both from a collector and a player fan base, which, it's a fine balance between the two. And I'd say our collector economy is doing very well. Our player economy, it's like a give and take, right? Because people want to play the game, but if people are collecting the cards and hoarding them, then there's less supply to actually make the decks that you want, which means that decks are more expensive. So it's a fine balance, but I think there's cycles in this. And, when the next set comes out or when people get a little tired of holding onto their sealed boxes, they go ahead and open it, then more singles become available. But yeah, you'll notice in our set 1, it took about 8 to 9 months to really completely sell out from vendors and retailers. And then our set 2 was completely sold out within about 2 weeks, it was the same amount of supply. So it sped things up a lot, which brings good things and bad things. Again, it's really hype. A lot of people, would like to work with us. We'd like to work with a bunch of people. But, it's the players at the end of the day. The players matter the most to us because that's the whole point in building the game, and I was a player before I joined the team as well. So my heart is with them.
When you get in. So there's a little bit of a clip from Jeremy and y'all who and see what's going on. So if you guys want to listen to that full episode, hear a little bit about Vibes and the success and a bunch of other brainiacs, collectibles, people that are doing the craziest stuff within the RWA space. The link again is in the description, down below on YouTube or on my bio on X. But that is going to do it for today's edition of RWA SegMints. Okay, so let me tell a story. My mind works in really weird ways because I just signed off as if I'm doing the podcast, but then I'm not. And so yesterday I was doing sports commentary because that's also what I do for a team. And I had a different co-host and I said their first name correct when I, did the final sign off of like, yo, let's go. Have a good night. Thanks for tuning in and saying your names. And I used the last name of the person I was with last year. What an absolute embarrassment. What an absolute disaster. They're live on stream. But that's it for this edition of XFeed. That's what we were going for. Hoonsy, thank you so much for coming on through. Shay, good to see you. Bosch, enjoy the Boximus if you get it. Let me know if you are an absolute trillionaire after doing so. Core, good to see you. Again, love the name. And for anybody else watching afterwards, thank you. Any likes, shares, comments are insanely beneficial for me. So if you want to leave any, hell yeah, appreciate it. But I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Peace.